So Discord has a soundboard now. So
Yeah,
that's
it,
that's cool.
it's jump scared me and my friends.
Yeah. That
You
was
never know what sound somebody has.
that was me hitting the clap button, and I'm never gonna use it again, cause there's
Hey,
there's the temptation to use it, but then I know you and Slicer. It's I don't want to start something I won't be able to finish. I know
I
you would take advantage of that, and I would say
I've
have fun with it, but
I've turned the soundboard volume deliberately low because it actually just kind of disorients me when I
oh
get
yeah,
hit with the soundboard. Yeah. And I have people now, friends who are like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a sound play whenever I join call," and I'm like, "Please don't,"
yeah,
because like you're in the middle of talking to somebody, and then all of a sudden, sound effect announcing somebody has just arrived, and it's like, "Duh," you know,
yeah. That's and I'm sure
so,
that's super fun when someone is having trouble with like connection and stuff, so they leave and then rejoin. And it's, oh, this
y-
isn't working. Okay, I'll leave and then rejoin again. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
not a big fan of it.
it's an idea, I guess. I'm
Hmm.
sure there are people out there that enjoy it a great deal. I am low energy, by the way. If people didn't
Yeah,
notice, I am super low energy. I'm
yeah, no
exhausted, dude.
problem.
I'm exhausted.
Not getting a lot of sleep lately.
No, and this was supposed to be a week off. It was not. It was a week of, hey, that commission is very, very late, so it needs to get done. Hey, that Patreon chapter you were supposed to do last week, yeah, that is currently 6 days late, so you really need to get that fucking done.
Uh,
Uh,
well, yeah, sorry you had a busy week, my dude.
it's weird. It's not like it was busy. It was like I've talked about having trouble focusing before on
Hmm.
things that I need to get done. Maybe ADHD. We don't fucking know. And I am too unmotivated to actually find out.
Yeah, that was the issue. Is just when it came to getting like my own diagnosis and my own meds for it, it was just like it's a whole process, and to go through the process is to actively fight against the thing I'm going through the process for.
Yeah. So yeah, it was very bad over the past couple weeks. Well, it's been getting worse over the past few months, but it was very bad this week. And my stupid fucking hands were not helping either.
Hmm.
I have
Well,
had inexplicable. I'm going to be very brief in the explanation of what has been happening. Is the skin on bits of my fingers has been peeling and been quite sore and painful.
mm,
So yeah, not conducive to typing. Might come as a
yeah,
surprise.
no, I think that might that I think that's a valid excuse to be late on things. Is sorry, dealing with injury, medical thing, delay exists. Like I think your patrons will be understanding of that.
Yeah, I haven't really talked about it, so it's just a thing I've been dealing with.
Hmm.
And trying not to panic, like, oh god, is it skin cancer? It's probably not skin cancer.
It's probably just you typing too much.
It's not even that. It's like in some of it is on my fingertips. Other bits are in weird places, like on the
Hmm.
side of my fingers and on the knuckles. Like it's almost like
Yeah.
I've punched something, but I haven't.
Sleep punching, getting up in the middle of the night and just punching walls.
Well, that does sound like
unknowingly.
something someone with modest self-loathing might do. Uh, yeah. Yeah. So not it's not been a good week. So yeah, that has been a thing that I've been dealing with. But Patreon chapter is done. That's why I'm exhausted, because I finally ah do whatever it takes to get rid of every possible distraction I can, and
Well,
just fucking slam my head against a wall until it gets finished. But it worked.
congratulations.
Yeah, go me and shit. Um, I'm so excited. It's great. Fucking, I'm back to where I was supposed to be last week, so I could have a week off. It's fucking great. Oh, yeah. So Slicer gets to miss all of me bitching about my fucking personal problems and mild medical inconveniences. Hi, Slicer.
And now you're right. You're exactly right. Now he joins.
Yeah.
What? What's up?
Yeah, we're in podcast mode. Casey was just talking about the issues with his hands and being late on some things, but getting stuff done anyway.
Yeah.
Ah,
It sucked, and you don't have to hear me bitching about it. So yeah, you good timing.
fair enough.
Other thing I did is that that Mega Man game that was like an online game that is no longer an
Yeah,
online game.
Mega Man X Dive.
Yeah, I did tried that.
How was
How
it?
was it?
It's pretty okay.
All right.
I'm not a Mega Man fan. I played one. I think I played what might be the worst game in the series. I don't know. I have seen less than positive things said about it. I think I watched a Let's Play. So I think it was Mega Man 7 or something.
Oh,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was one on the SNES, and yeah, it wasn't very good.
Understandable.
Yeah, so that was less than great experience, but this mobile thing is actually pretty okay. It's slightly inconvenient on PC because it still sort of has the touch control thing for
Yeah.
menus and such. Like it has gamepad controls for like playing stages, but when it comes to the menus, your analog stick becomes a cursor that you have to move
Mm-hmm.
around the screen, or you could just mouse and keyboard it. But not ideal to switch back and forth. But
Yeah, I played the game when it was, a mobile game, and I was enjoying the actual like stages and such, but I felt like the fact that you had all these gotcha elements and like grinding and stuff, and not a lot of like motivation to continue with like story and stuff as like things ramp up. Like I feel like the gotcha elements actually took away from it more so. So it's good to hear that it's fun in the offline
I would
version.
say that is very very true in how this has become a better game as a result of that. Like
Mm.
there is like technically grindy elements of it, I guess. If you really want to think of it that way, but it's so far it's not been any kind of an inconvenience for me to just occasionally just do a little bit of like, hey, there are these grindy stages that you can do, and you do them like twice, and then you're ready to go. Like
Yeah,
you
it
don't need to grind anything.
sounds like they rebalanced everything for
Yeah,
offline play. Then that's good to hear.
absolutely. And as such, I can have an opinion on the story of this game and where I think they might have taken a misstep.
Yeah.
wow, the story is stupid.
Yeah.
The story of Mega Man X Dive is you are a player of the Mega Man X games and you get sucked into the world, well, not even the world, the data of your Mega Man X games. And
Hmm.
they have been scrambled in certain ways that make things all kerfuffled, and you need to go into the Mega Man X games and fix them to save
The
your game data.
That sounds like the lowest stakes I've ever heard.
the thing that's really frustrating is that X Dive is the first actual Mega Man X game to come out in a very, very long time. And
Yeah.
it's frustrating because, for those who don't know, Mega Man and Mega Man X play like very differently. In particular, Mega Man X always comes with a dash, right?
Yeah.
The stage layout, the abilities, they are different. In Mega Man, you will typically just play as, Mega Man. Mega Man X, you have X, Zero, Axel, a variety of different characters and a different story, different setting, all of that, right? Because it takes place, I believe, 100 years after Mega Man original. So it is in a world that is consisting mostly of these humanoid robots, which are Reploids, which have the ability to be, independent sentient beings.
Basically,
As
Yoda.
Yeah, as opposed to Mega Man, which is, Mega Man and the robot masters he fights are the exceptions. It's still a mostly human world, whereas a much more machine world in Mega Man X. So to not have a Mega Man X game that continues the ongoing narrative of that timeline, and instead be like, okay, we're gonna jump into your video game player, is
Yeah. See, it's a really dumb idea for multiple reasons because Zero, has the fans' perspective of like, hey, I really like Mega Man, so I would like them to continue the story of Mega Man or at least expand on it in some way. That would be
Mhm.
cool. No. And for people that aren't really into Mega Man, who don't aren't really fans and don't really know anything about it, and the story is, hey, giant Mega Man fan, here is all of the stuff you love about Mega Man. Like, okay, no, but
it, it's
That does
it's
seem to fall a little flat.
it's frustrating because you have characters in there that have not appeared in games in like decades. A lot of the characters come from Mega Man X Command Mission, which was the RPG sort of spin-off thing, which was kind of bad, to be honest, in terms of like actually playing it. But they never made any more. Those characters never really showed up again. And then you have characters like Mega Man Volnut, who's from Mega Man Legends, and Mega Man Legends 2 was on the PlayStation 1. And then Mega Man Legends 3 got canceled a few years ago. And we've not seen that character except as a cameo character in like Smash Brothers and this. And like I think also was in one of the fighting games as a cameo. But it's frustrating.
yeah, like I story wise, this game doesn't satisfy anyone anywhere. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know how this came to be the story. It's the most. It's almost like a template for a story. Like, we're gonna put in a real story, but we're just gonna throw some bullshit in for now.
Mhm.
And it just never got replaced. It. That
But
said, the actual game is
gameplay
fun.
wise, yeah, gameplay wise, it's fun. You get to play these characters that you haven't seen in a long time, and a lot of them are playable for the first time.
Yeah. I don't give a shit about any of these characters or weapons or cards or whatever other bullshit is in this game, but playing it is pretty fucking cool.
Mm.
I
It's
like doing the big shooty bang bangs and the fucking swords and shit that it has. It's
it's just the
cool.
fact that this was a gotcha was just like, hey, you like this character that hasn't appeared in 20 years? You gonna play as him? Want to spend some money? Huh? Okay, fine. Yeah, there are a lot of people who were. My understanding is that the actual community of Mega Man X Dive was constantly waiting for the next story content or for more actual solid story content, and they just never got it. And then the game got canceled
Oh.
and became offline version.
Well, it is what it
But the
is
game
now, I guess.
gameplay's fun though. Good to hear.
Yeah.
It's fun from what I played too, and it was still mobile.
I One of the minor complaint that I have is there is no restart button. There should be a fucking restart button in this game. That's it's not like this is the only game that has that problem. Like Code Geass literally just came out. It doesn't have a restart button, but
Hmm.
it still feels like an oversight for a game where you know you you can die and then you just have to quit out and then go back in. Like, why that is two connections to the server that only required one at most, arguably not even one.
Hmm.
So that's just fucking dumb. But, whatever.
Yeah, the last thing Mega Man happened that was like, oh yeah, Mega Man 11 because you like classic Mega Man. Anyway, we're gonna just release a bunch of collections of past Mega Man games. Let's set you on another one, a new game. Finger guns, and then they just walk away.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing. Like, for the scale of what Mega Man games are, and I don't think anyone really wants a big AAA Mega Man game. It's always just going to be a B game, maybe an A game, like single A. If it
The
feels
issue,
like a project they could do, and it wouldn't really be a huge deal whether it succeeded or failed.
yeah, like some of
Like,
the later games,
chuck 10 people on it and just have them give it a go and try and do a
yeah,
Mega Man game.
uh, I mean, you have like what was it like Azure Gunvolt, who is like doing a Mega Man like, and other games have come out as like spiritual successors.
Oh, God. Legend number
Um,
9.
Yeah.
that one was like the biggest blow, but like it's worth noting that like right as that was failing, Mega Man 11 comes out. It's like, hey, it's good, and then you have that brief period of hope, and then you just have like years of silence. Um, and again, like not the reason why people really like lament Mega Man Legends specifically is because it's not a 2D game; it's a 3D game with its own world, its own lore, its own setting, its own set of mechanics that work differently from every other Mega Man game. Um, Same thing with the Battle Network series; has its own entire different world, lore, settings, mechanics. Like they have the same name, but a lot of these like game series just play completely differently, and there's just been nothing for years. The most similar ones are like Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, and just Mega Man. But even then, like they have their distinct differences and occur on different places in the timeline. With like Mega Man Zero being like so far into the future, it is like post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
But so I got to go on a rant about this. It's just it's in a very weird state, this franchise.
I remember seeing the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite Story mode where Mega Man X is basically the big damn hero for the end of the game.
Yeah.
Which,
Well.
I don't know, it almost feels insulting for how ignored that franchise is.
Yeah. It's anytime Mega Man X shows up, it's in like a cameo role, and you're like, okay, but stop it. Stop teasing us. The only Mega Man game to come out recently was freaking X Dive, right? And then you have Mega Man 11, which is a full Mega Man game with classic Mega Man and like voice acting and everything. But Mega Man X just nothing. Here's two collections. We split the game series into two collections.
Yeah.
Which, if you're gonna buy one of those collections, buy the first one, because the first games are good and everything later starts to get really bad.
I remember when, like, I played 7, like, way back in the day on a SNES emulator, and it was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I didn't really know that much about Mega Man. I thought it was a series that was ongoing, but then I heard about how they were bringing the series back with Mega Man 9.
Then they brought it back again with Mega Man 10, and then they brought it back a third time with Mega Man 11.
Yeah. And it's just sort of... It felt like even then no one was really asking for that, what Mega Man 9 was. Because that was the old school style Mega Man. That was fucking NES kind of shit.
Yeah. And X plays so differently. I mean, heck, 11 added a new mechanic which allows you to speed up or slow down time. And like affects stats and attack patterns, and has a unique interaction with bosses.
Yeah, it's kind of like they were like, oh, people still really like Mega Man. They must be talking about Mega Man 1 and 2.
No. We're talking about the fact that you ended Mega Man Legends 2 on a cliffhanger 20 years ago. And the fate of that character is on a cliffhanger, and has been for decades. Gosh darn it.
I mean, I feel like that would be a thing that they could make jokes about in X Dive if they actually cared to.
Yeah.
Like just sort of, he's like, wait, am I okay? Am I alive or not? I don't know.
Because the last thing they released in terms of the collections was the Battle Network collections. And so there's the theory that like they're looking to see how these collections sell, to see what the interest is in Mega Man as a franchise.
I fucking hate that way of thinking. I hate it so much.
But it's a very Capcom thing to do, because that's how they run their business. So series is up in the air right now.
I mean, yeah, it's not just Capcom. A lot of companies fucking do that, and it always feels shitty. Like I remember Crash Bandicoot got the Insane trilogy, and it sold like holy shit numbers. So they were like, "Oh, okay, we can milk this franchise again. Awesome! Let's do a new fucking kart racer. Let's do the fucking another entry in the series. Let's do a bunch of bullshit. Let's Crash Bash. Everyone loved Crash Bash. Let's fucking do that."
Yeah. It's
no one liked Crash Bash. I played Crash Bash. It wasn't good.
Yeah, no. People always like it's CTR that you talk about, you know.
Yeah.
Crash Team Racing, not Crash Bash.
Stupid ass minigame collection.
So what
So I
else
don't
do
know
you
whether
do?
to be thankful that Spyro didn't get the same treatment.
Yeah, you got the Reignited trilogy, and I played it, and I was like, I
Yeah,
don't, I don't actually like this franchise as much as I thought.
I did. I enjoyed going back to that and playing that through to completion, and I'm like, yeah, I'm satisfied with that. I don't need any more. Like, if they made a
Yeah,
new one, I probably wouldn't play it.
but
Yeah.
that's the state of
Mm,
things.
yeah.
I have a. I don't know if you're still doing your week, but I wanted to
No,
talk about something kind of related to this.
I got nothing. So,
Okay, so speaking of franchises with mascot characters, Sonic Frontiers released
oh yeah.
their last new free DLC patch thing. It's an update. It is free, and it is an entire extra several hours of content called it's called Final Horizons, and it lets you go for an alternate ending.
Mm.
And in that alternate ending, you can control Tails, Amy, and Knuckles, and they each have their own skill trees and everything, and their own movesets that are very distinct.
Hmm.
For
I
example,
have seen the video of Tails just sort of skipping an entire level.
yes, Tails can at max rings summon his tornado from Sonic Adventure 2 and just fly around in it for as long as he has boost meter. Which you can make infinite with just like a side looping a little infinity sign. And Tails also gets the ability to fire a giant laser beam in that cyclone. Super fun. And throws wrenches, can fly, and he has specific like challenges and areas based around him. Amy has her fortune cards and her hammer, but mainly her fortune cards, which may give her a lot of vertical height on her jumps, allowing her to do an extra jump and also to glide. And she feels really like fluid and good to use. Like you could build an entire platform around her moveset. It's that good.
Hmm.
So like Tails, awesome, fun to play, awesome to fly around as. Amy, awesome, build entire platform around, really good, really fun to play. Knuckles, Knuckles,
Knuckles always gets
Is he,
shit.
is he not good?
So Knuckles has a very strange climb. First of all,
Oh no.
step one, the climb is too fast. It is actually too fast. And number two, the climb controls change depending on camera angle. So if you're moving the camera to dodge things, you will go the wrong way most of the time.
Oh, that sucks.
And so there's that, and then you also have Knuckles has the unfortunate thing, which is controlling the glide kind of sucks. It kind of sucks. He's probably the worst to control out of all the characters in that game. But he does have one thing that is fun, which is Knuckles gets his infinite glide, which creates a red aura around him and just makes him like fly like a freaking ballistic missile across the sky. And that's fun. And the controls make a little bit more sense there, but he is by far the hardest to control and use and does not feel as nearly as intuitive as the other two.
Yeah, I've just been trying to find the climbing glitch from Sonic 06. I couldn't find it, unfortunately.
He can gain infinite height with a jump glitch, just like in Sonic Boom, though. So if you want to have him just infinitely climb, he can do that. I don't know why you would do that. It'd be much easier to do it with Tails, but you could.
This sounds like backdoor beta testing of potential concepts for how the characters will play in a sequel.
Yes, because for anybody who doesn't know, this Frontier sets up a sequel. And it sets up specifically a sequel in which the characters each go their own ways on their own sort of journeys and adventures, and they're meeting their own goals.
Yeah.
And so
I,
this
I,
seems
I
very much
remember
like,
Amy and Tails part of
yeah.
that. I don't remember Knuckles so much.
Yeah, Knuckles' whole thing was, I think, related to history or something. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
they're going there. They're going their own separate ways, and so that would be a very good setup for a so-called Sonic Adventure 3 sort of thing, right? Totally different characters and polish off like this is a great like test bed for like these move sets, get some feedback and fix them for like whatever next game comes out.
It's smart.
So
You know, free update and you get free testing. It's like,
mhm.
game on.
And also in the DLC you play as Sonic, of course, and Sonic has these tower trials. So previously, I want to preface it with this. Previously in Sonic Frontiers, you could put that entire game on hard mode and barely struggle.
Yep. Well, once you realize the whole just fucking loop everything all of the time,
That
then
is
it
not the
becomes.
case in the DLC. Um, the towers are, first of all, incredibly difficult platforming sections where if you fail, you will fall to the bottom most likely and have to start all over again. And they are very tall towers.
What kind of Jumpman shit is that? Or Jump King?
So it is. They are first of all very difficult. Some have new mechanics that are introduced specifically only in the DLC.
So
One of the
there's a smoking
towers.
hot babe at the top.
One of the towers is actually kind of busted as of when I have played it, in which you have to homing attack certain boxes to get high enough. If you fall after that, though, the boxes don't respawn. You have to go and get yourself killed or jump into like a pit to respawn it. So that's frustrating. And then you get to the trials once you climb the towers. And the trials are their own separate, really difficult punch in the face with their own challenges that require you to really think outside the box with the mechanics. And I found that like after the like trial 2 is like the hardest, but after that, like trial 3, trial 4, like it starts to get easier, it starts to make more sense. I'm getting more into the game, I'm having a good time. Then you get to the final trial. And the final trial is actually bullshit.
Okay.
As in you. So here's what it is. This is just mechanical stuff. I don't think this is a spoiler. It's nothing new. It is a boss rush. A boss rush against all 3 of the titans, the first 3 titans that you fight in the game, as Supersonic.
Okay.
Except there's no rings in any of these. You are going with 400 rings. And you have to defeat all 3 within that 400 ring time limit.
Can you do a side loop in the air?
On top of that, all your stats are set to 1. So if you take any amount of damage, you lose a huge chunk of time. And you're not doing anywhere near as much damage as you would have done in the story mode. And on top of that, you can only perfect parry. And on hard mode, the perfect parry is about 1 frame long. Maybe a few. But it is a frame perfect parry that you have to hit every single time. Because if you do not constantly parry things, you can't defeat the second boss unless you parry each of those attacks in succession. It is extremely difficult. Especially when you consider you have 400 seconds to beat 3 bosses, and one of them only becomes available after like 30 seconds of just flying around to even hit a few times. And yeah, no, I was not having fun. Genuinely, it's one of the least fun things I've ever experienced in a game. And changing the difficulty down to easy allows you to have a parry that lasts for an appropriate amount of time. Like a reasonable amount of time. Because these bosses were not designed with the perfect parry in mind. They're designed with the normal parry, which is you can hold down the parry buttons, which it's like L1 and R1 on the PlayStation controller,
Yeah.
and you wait to receive an attack.
Yeah.
Whereas
It was not. None of the attacks were designed for you to be able to see and appropriately parry at the exact right time.
Because the attacks will slow down and then suddenly speed up.
Yes.
Which means if you're going with a parry that requires you to hit two buttons at the same time for like only a few frames, and it has to be frame perfect on the hit, and you do that consecutively. And by the way, if you fail, you have to redo like all the cutscenes. You have to climb up on the boss again, which, for second boss, Wyvern, you have to climb that tower again and then wait for him to come around and then do the thing where you're running along the light trail and then you get to fight the boss.
Wait, I thought you said you have a 400-second time limit for all of the bosses in
That's
succession.
that's for only this. It only ticks down when it's the supersonic mode. Because
But couldn't you
supersonic
just
consumes
replenish
rings.
your rings while you're doing the climbing section? Or
No,
whatever else?
no, you can't replenish any rings. No,
Why?
because they said so.
But you
They
can
won't spawn.
loop.
They won't spawn.
Oh.
They turned them off. No rings.
That sucks.
No checkpoints either. So if you lose, you have to do it all over again. This has been a lot of people have been raging over this trial because it is bullshit. It is poorly designed. And like I turned it down to easy mode, and I'd been trying hard mode for like 10, 15 times. I lost track of how many times I'd attempted it, and my wrists were hurting because of the mash sections on these bosses, the mandatory mash the button sections. And I was just like, my wrists are hurting. I'm going down to easy mode, and I cleared it on like my first try because I actually could parry properly, and I got the practice in on maximizing my amount of damage and combos. Which you can't side loop in phase 2 on any of these bosses because they will immediately break out of it and then hit you.
What is the name of this trial?
It's the final trial, is what it's just called. Yeah, everybody will just put it as the final trial. It is the last thing that you must do before you can fight the final boss. Which is a new boss, by the way. Sort of.
Sorry, I just decided this was a good idea to just suddenly start looking at the Steam forums to see what people are saying.
I've seen a lot of people be very upset about the difficulty spike because it is a very massive difficulty spike. And
fuck, there is some salt here. You're not wrong. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I
They added
used
new
cheats to pass the trial. Oh, it's the King Coco trial is apparently what it's called.
King Coco, basically.
Yeah.
But everybody calls it the final trial that I saw, but yeah, it's also called that.
Yeah. To quote the topic that is like right on the front page at the moment, which has, it's a new topic. First 4 trials weren't that bad. You can easily cheese them by abusing Sonic's abilities, blah, 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 blah. But man, Master King Coco trial, I quit. A boss rush with 400 rings and being forced to perfect parry. I mean, yeah, you can spam the stomp attack and it gets the job done, but I've been hit by basically almost every attack there is to exist. The only reason I even gotten into the Wyvern's second phase is because the sound effect before attack guided me when to click the parry. Pointers.
Yes.
Second phase gets rid of that, and when I finally hit it, the game decided to crash.
The issue is primarily with the second boss, Wyvern, because you can only deal damage to that boss after parrying. First, you have to parry once, do a perfect parry. And then in phase 2, you have to perfect parry 2 attacks in succession. And then while you're in the middle of doing damage, he'll just attack you again, which is again poorly telegraphed, and you have to parry that one again to keep doing damage. And again, failing to parry this will mean you will just take damage. There's no way to dodge it. You have to parry. And if you take damage, you will lose like 30 seconds and be unable to do any damage.
This might be what we might call overcorrecting. Like, to quote another topic on the Steam forums, you fuckers wanted some fucking difficulty, well... there.
And now I've seen people who say, "Oh well, I haven't even beat the final trial on easy mode," and it's just like, yeah, because in order to do it even on easy mode eases up the parry restriction. It does not ease up the time restriction or the freaking DPS restriction of like you need to kill these things extremely fast and optimize how you're dealing damage at the same time. Because again, all your sets at 1, all your sets are at 1. You are doing the minimum amount of damage you could possibly do. It's kind of bullshit.
That sounds absolutely terrible.
Yeah. I hope they patch it. Because you need to use the perfect parry in the final boss of the DLC. But guess what? That boss was designed with that parry in mind. So it actually works as intended. The telegraphs of the attacks are even swings. They are not suddenly slowing down, or speeding up. So you can actually accurately gauge when to parry. As opposed to all the other 3 bosses you had to fight first.
Do you think to patch it, or are they just going to keep it as is because it's like a geek?
I think you're a little quiet and fading in and out.
That's weird.
I think they need...
Anybody?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I think they need to patch it. I think that it is too much to ask of most people who have played that game and are returning to it after like a year of not playing it. Of like, oh yeah, no, go do the super hard mode.
Even more, it's asking a lot of players who played the game and played it a very specific way that was very lackadaisical and easygoing. That whole, hey, just hold the parry button and it'll parry. That puts you in a certain mindset of, hey, I don't really need to actually learn the mechanics of this boss fight at all. Yeah, and then to suddenly ask, hey, you need to actually know how to do this.
I also want to state, again, you're pushing 2 buttons to parry.
Yeah, that's not a good parry, by the way. That also needs to be said.
Yeah. So you have to hit both buttons to parry, and you are spamming that, and it hurts your hands.
Why even is it both buttons? Like I can't remember whether there was actually something on LB and RB specifically individually. I don't think there was. I think it was just the parry.
So yeah, once you finish the final trial, you get the fun boss fight. It's super good. Everything's great. Story's fun. Characters are great. Yay. Good conclusion. But it's just like, climb this wall first. Casual. It's aggressive. I did notice they added a recent option change in the control options. I'm not sure when they did. But they fixed one of my problems with the base game, which is you can now toggle it so that instead of the jump somehow canceling all of your momentum, the jump carries your momentum when you run around. And now the game actually feels good to play for me.
That was good.
I remember you praising that feature of it canceling your momentum because it gave you
For the sake
control.
for the sake of precision, yes, but I got really tired of it because I wanted to have the speed and stuff to go fast, especially later in the game. And I still can have that control through the double jump, which, you know, changes and halts your momentum entirely.
Mm.
The issue is the initial jump meant you were basically like magneted to the floor. Don't try to jump and carry your momentum because otherwise it's going to ruin everything.
Mm.
But that was an option I could change. I'll tell you about that. They, in terms of like the writing and stuff, you have all these different moments now that you can run around and have like Tails talk to Eggman in a few different spaces, and it's really interesting to see those two characters talking to each other directly again.
I miss my wife, Tails. I miss her a lot.
It's fun because you see that Eggman, like compared to like freaking Sonic, he respects Tails,
Oh yeah, that was always the thing. That was great.
and it's great to see that return, and like commenting on like how Tails has grown, mentally stronger, again, and talking about, well, Tails, this is how a scientist should look at things. You should know. And it's just like, I like having those interactions, having the different characters being able to now talk to each other. You can have, throwing Amy, you can talk to like Sonic and Tails and Knuckles and Sage and even Eggman, and having different dialogues spread throughout the island, and also explaining all of the plot holes or unexplained things about the island to such a degree that everything just makes sense. So any sort of like things that were not quite explained or were just kind of left untouched, or not gone into in the story about like the lore, the setting, the world stuff, they go into all of that, and it's super good. So I felt like I walked away from that those islands with a complete understanding of them and what was going on there. There's some stuff obviously that's so mysterious, but I get the gist, There's also the cyberspace levels. I have not touched those yet because they are not necessary to complete the DLC. Though I did play one, and it was kind of really weird.
Are the cyberspace levels supposed to be played with the other characters, or is it just Sonic?
It's just Sonic.
You'd think they would have tried to like prototype some of that stuff as well, but oh well.
Probably restrictions on time and development and such.
Or they're completely pivoting from those cyberspace type mini levels and just kind of moving away from that design concept for the next game.
Because I find it very interesting that there's also Sonic Superstars coming out, which does have, it's 2D, has playable Amy, Tails, Knuckles. So I think they're going to go for more of a open world adventure style, and for the next 3D Sonic, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen is really good. It's really fun to every now and then Tails just talking to Eggman. It's like, well, I'm still competent. Remember Station Square? And you're like, yeah, that time he beat you in Adventure.
Yeah, I mean that is also a thing that was brought up in the main game.
Yeah,
like,
but it's nice to see like it just reminds me just how much they're respecting the continuity now, and going forward it's gonna be good. You got Ian Flynn writing it, so
yeah.
Yeah, my advice for anybody who is out there trying the final trial, just set to easy mode. All it does is change the parry window. That's it. It just expands the parry window. That's all it does. And guess what? It makes it go from impossible to reasonable.
Or just ignore it entirely. It's optional, isn't it?
It's optional, yeah.
So
But you'll never be complete without it. You want to beat the game.
They have set it up, by the way, so that I'm fairly certain that what is a different ending, you could technically make the next game based off of either ending and not much would change. It's a little bit. It's a different note, whereas like the original ending was more bittersweet than this one. This one is like put yourself through the grueling hell of difficulty to get like a happier ending.
I mean, the regular ending wasn't that bittersweet.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I like that each of the playable characters has their own theme that fits into Frontiers, and very different tonally. Yeah, no, the writing for each of these characters is great. It's not like you're not missing out too much on this DLC other than getting to like play these characters and have fun, because it's not a huge amount like story wise. Like the entire DLC patch takes place on the final island anyways, right before you fight the final boss in normal story. So yeah, there is one lore detail I want to give out for free because I find this funny. So you know how Big the Cat shows up?
Why did I know you were going to talk about Big the Cat when you said there's one more thing?
They explain why. Big the Cat isn't actually there. Sonic is just hallucinating.
Oh my god. I don't know whether that's better or worse.
That particular space is constructed off of Sonic's memories. So yes, it is just a hallucinatory Big the Cat in another dimension, fishing with Sonic.
No, I think I prefer the idea of Big the Cat just sort of wandering into cyberspace, being like, oh, I guess I'll fish. I mean, there's a pond here. Why not? Like, fucking. Like that. The implication of that is that Sonic really values Big the Cat for some reason, and I don't like that. I'm not appreciative of that.
I imagine whenever Sonic hallucinates, there's just an imaginary Big the Cat saying, "It's okay, Sonic."
Maybe Sonic has always wanted to have the patience to fish. So he admires Big the Cat for his abilities to fish.
Yeah, Sonic and patience don't exactly go hand in hand, so that would make sense.
No.
Yeah, so that was
God. Big the Cat is voiced by Carmina. I just want everyone to know that.
What?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Kyla Bear.
Yeah, no, that's all I really had to say of prominence about my week, other than my house is in chaos because we're gonna be having a baby shower next week, and for my sister.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be like 50 people coming now.
Oh.
Our house is kind of. I don't think 50 people can fit comfortably in our house, but we're gonna try. At first, it was just gonna be 35, and then people keep getting added, and I'm worried that it's gonna keep growing in number.
It's possible.
Can I get an invite?
Plus ones tend to have that happen.
Sure, you can come. There's gonna be candy and games and prizes. Yeah. Aside from that, just did some teaching and such. Trying to deal with. One of those teaching days is substituting for my mom's class, the kindergarten class. And there's this one 5-year-old boy.
Oh boy.
Who, number one, is defiant, right? Does not want to do anything the first time you tell him to. Number two, will not do his work, requires constant supervision, is like off task, distracting other people, loudmouth. And then also like has been really, really wanting to be around a couple of girls in the class and like following them.
Oh, that went
And
from weird to creepy.
Well, he's
yeah,
5.
Eh.
and saying that one of the and lying and saying that one of them was his girlfriend.
He doesn't know what that means. He's 5.
And also attempting to hug them and attempting to kiss them and attempting to goad other boys into hugging or kissing them.
Does he have an older sibling that
He has an older
Older
sibling.
than
That older
shit?
sibling, from my knowledge, is really well adjusted. But had to the one of the girls goes up and is like, I want to go to the bathroom, and he immediately raises his hand. I want to go to the bathroom too. I'm like, no, you are not, sir. You are waiting. You don't actually have to go. I can tell. And trying to deal with that situation. Like, ooh, he's 5. I don't know where he's getting this, but you know, it's a. Last day I subbed. He punched a kid and called him a nerd during recess. I mean, like, are we reverting to that sort of bully behavior?
At 5
yeah.
years old?
Yeah. At 5.
That's genuinely baffling to me. But I don't know anything about kids, so, yeah.
It's just it's baffling to my mom too. That there's this kid that's going around and is trying to act like he's 3 or 4 times his age.
And also an asshole.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just being a bad influence on other kids and making them do bad things. And also attempting to steal prizes and such that he didn't earn, you know, and lying. Honestly, though, not as bad as last year's class, in which you had a kid that would be screaming at the top of his lungs in like a angry fit, and would be unable to like teach the class during that entire time. And then the one girl who would punch a kid every single day. Would be a different kid getting punched. And then, you know, steal, skip class, lie, these sorts of things. These are 5-year-olds.
Well, yeah, I mean, 5-year-olds, you kind of expect a lot of, what would be the term for it? A lot of the id being in control a lot more than anything else. Of just, hey, I'm going to do what I feel like doing right now. I kind of feel like punching this kid in the face because, well, sounds fun.
Yeah, it's just this sort of behavior is, you know, it wasn't normal for a kid for a kindergartner to get like 15 office referrals in a single school year. So better than that, but the freaking 5-year-old boy showing creepy behavior like that. Wanna make sure to nip that in the bud. Seriously, I have no idea what sort of circumstances at home would have, you know, happened to bring about that sort of state. But
I don't really know.
Like, parents don't want that. Parents have been cooperating. So, At least the mom has. Not sure on the dad.
Mm.
So hard to tell, but yeah.
I can just think like my mind is just going to the very obvious sort of thing, but it sounds too it sounds too grown up of a potential reason even for this. Like, you know, like that sort of behavior, you kind of think, "Oh, Andrew Tate," blah, 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 blah. But he's 5.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's gonna be learning how to pimp, I guess. Like, no.
My mom had to take the one of the girls over to him, and she did this with both the girls, and had her say to his face that she doesn't like him. She doesn't want to be his girlfriend, and what he's doing is making her hate him. And it's just like, ooh, he had to get hard dumped. But that's what needs to happen. You need to learn that they're not gonna like it when you do that. I also
it needed to be said. So yeah.
I also went and I taught a few different things and transferred around a bit, but I did one day at the special education classroom SDC, and that was that's always a riot. You never know what's going to happen. Whether it be one kid refusing to leave the playground and needing 5 adults to bring him back without just carrying him because you can't do that. And then just talking with the other aides and relaxing, and then one kid decides to take off his pants and diaper and run around half naked. And then the same kid from before who had needed 5 people to get him off the playground. Needs 6 people to get him to come back from the bathroom because he's lying down and refusing to do anything. Fun. But they're super cute kids. Yeah, except for the times in which
except when they're not.
Yeah, except for when they're not. And you because there were 4 aides in that classroom. I was just sitting in for the teacher, and I still helped out and tried to teach, but you need all 5 people in that classroom.
So you're saying you got AIDS and everything was better?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for me.
South Park jokes, vintage.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that was a South Park joke. That keeps happening. People make South Park jokes that I've seen, and I forget about them.
Let's not think about who was the source of that particular joke. Slicer, how's it going?
Pretty good. I've only done a couple things, so there's that. That'll be a super busy thing. I don't know if there's going to be more of them. Well, there has to be. The story's not over. I've seen 7 episodes of Ahsoka, the show.
Oh, yes.
The new Star Wars show.
I've been watching that too.
I'm enjoying it. The fights are pretty nice.
Genuinely
that
love
is
it.
the opposite of what I have heard. I've heard people say fantastic things about the story and the acting and such, including Thrawn. He's
very well done.
He's not. He doesn't look like he did in everything ever, but he has the presence for the role. Apparently,
yes.
This is all
that sums it up perfectly, and the look grows on you.
The fight scenes are not something I've heard praised.
That's fair. I guess my bar is pretty low for Star Wars. I don't expect it to be great.
The one thing that I saw called out was a lightsaber duel against a character, let's say, and Ahsoka is clashing sabers with them, and she fights with two lightsabers, so it's one against one, and she's just sort of holding this other one in her offhand, and not like she could just stab and it would be over, and she's just not.
Yes.
And they're big,
That,
giant,
yes.
glowing swords, so it's really noticeable.
That's pretty much every fight with her. Is you could be stabbing right now. You could be doing anything else with your other hand.
There's some good like dual moves with the dual wielding, but there are definitely moments where it's just like you're not making the most of this, Ahsoka.
Yeah, and one of the characters from Rebels.
It's such an easy choreography fix. I'm sorry, I do kind of need to hop on it. Just use both to block, and that actually sells it harder because she needs both to block.
Mm-hmm. She does do that in most of the clashes of lightsabers. She does block with both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly which particular instance. You are talking about which fight, but most of the time I did see her using both.
Yeah, I think there's only one fight she's in that she only uses one of them, and I don't know why. I think it's because her opponent is stronger than her, so she wants to use both hands with a single saber. That's the impression I got from it.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? I also strongly feel that Sabine should be using one of her blasters and her sword at the same time. She's a Mandalorian. There's no reason she shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, I think it's because she lacks a lot of confidence in her saber skills, and so wants to just focus on not cutting herself.
That's fair. I mean, they do go out of their way to mention her force abilities are terrible.
You're pretty bad at this, and she's like, yeah, I know.
It's so brutal and hammered in so many times. It reminded me of Kingdom Hearts 3. Everyone telling Sori shit.
So yeah, no, I can buy that because she does not have enough confidence in her ability to use a lightsaber and not cut herself.
Yeah. So I suppose I should say the fights aren't good, but I'm easily entertained and it's flashy. So
yeah.
You okay?
Still thinking about the Kingdom Hearts thing. God, sorry, you're such a piece of shit. Why are you so weak? You literally handed me to the enemy for the entirety of the last game.
So, yeah, looking forward to the next episode of that because things are, happening. And I'm going to guess it's like 10 episodes based on the number of things that have happened. And, I also, Saints Row, the new Saints Row was the free PlayStation game this month, which was wild.
Mm-hmm.
I
Didn't
think
that studio go under?
Yes.
Yes. This
well,
game.
They didn't go under. They got shut down by the parent company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Based on a conversation I had with one of my roommates, the reason it's the free game this month is to make up for the fact that PlayStation Network is getting more expensive. So, like, they put a new game on there, only it's Saints Row. So, yeah. I downloaded this morning. I've been playing the last couple hours. I'm actually enjoying it. I haven't hit anything that's, like, game-breaking. The vehicles are weirdly light and floaty, so you hit a little thing and you kind of go flying. It's got some controller issues, but, I mean, so far it's not terrible.
The problem with the reboot... Yeah, it's a reboot. Sorry, I just had to double check in my brain whether it was a reboot or whether it was like a continuation with a whole different. No, it's a reboot. It's fine for a game from 2011.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is just the design doc for Saints Row the Third, doing that again. Only the cast suck and the story kind of sucks. And nothing feels worthwhile.
Yeah, it's fair. The first part of the mission is essentially, or first part of the game is establishing characters and then building a base, buying an old defunct church and then refurnishing it. I just bought the church, so I'm not super far. The characters seem interesting so far, but we'll see how that holds up when I assume there's branching paths of each of your roommates is part of a gang, and so I assume they become the Saints Row 2 style. They're in charge of taking down that gang.
Not really.
So I assume anyway. I'm assuming that's where they're going to take this.
How does the cat look? Did they improve the cat?
It looked fine. Did it look bad before?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was bad.
yeah. It looks like it's not a stray cat. Those were some gorgeous looking cats, but
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bad timing to have the cat be such a prominent figure.
That's fair. So yeah, looking forward to playing more of that later. And the last one I'm gonna invite the hate, and I played a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 this week.
Mm-hmm.
Not liking it.
No?
No. Mostly, and this is I don't know whether it's my fault or the game's fault. I can't land a single fucking attack. I want to say 75% of my attacks miss. It's bad. I don't know if it's a PS5 thing. It's really bad.
All right, so what character are you playing?
I picked Blade Lock.
Okay. And because Hexblade is not in the game, Bladelock obviously scales off charisma. You know that, right?
Yes.
So you bumped your charisma, yeah?
It's at 19. I'm only level 5, so that's as high as I can get it. Yup. I have at least a 70% minimum chance to hit things, or higher, depending on which character I'm using. I still miss most of my attacks. I'm missing, I think, Asterion. I probably mispronounced that name. I have him as a ranged rogue.
Yeah.
He has an 88% chance to hit things when he's hiding. I regularly miss that attack.
Honestly, this is gonna hate to hear, but it sounds like you just genuinely have bad luck.
Yep. And it makes the game not fun to play. It's just bad.
Because when on my playthrough, I am playing a bard. So
I heard they're fun.
That they are very fun. And I'm just slinging spells. Any character can use spell scrolls, regardless of whether it's on their spell list or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And consumables are super huge. They give you so many potions of speed to just spam. Like, there's a lot of options that make it more fun to play, but it's also the issue of you have to chance it.
There is an option in the settings where I forget what it's called.
It's called Karma Dice, and it doesn't work.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I did after a couple of hours of this. Was bitch to a friend of mine who had been talking about the game a lot recently, and he's like, "Yeah, I had to turn that off because it was actually making it worse for me." And so I tried it with it off because it's on by default. Karma Dice, for anyone who doesn't know, if you roll a lot of misses or fails in a row, eventually the game will just give you a success. And at least that's how I think it works. And that didn't work. Because, I do hit things. It's just not often. So, yep. The best thing I can do is just grind as much as I can, so I'm fighting things that are weaker than me. Which doesn't really work, considering enemies don't respawn. And there's only so many quests in that area.
As Bladelock, remind me, does Bladelock get extra attack?
Yes.
Okay.
Thirsting Blade isn't a thing. It's just part of the class by default. So at level 5, I got 2 attacks. The same as Fighter and stuff like that.
Because I know I was running the Will in my party as a blade lock that then went into paladin, and I gave him
Oh yeah,
like
witch hunter. Okay.
2 weapons. But yeah, I don't. I substituted out the Astarion in my party. I'm like, you know what? I'm better at sleight of hands than you, so I'll just do that.
That's fair. Honestly, I was thinking about replaying the game as just a rogue
Mm-hmm.
because it's pretty easy to start a fight when you're hiding, and you can pretty much just one shot somebody
Yeah,
as long as your attack hits, obviously.
Rogue, very good, especially because anybody can use scrolls, and scrolls of invisibility really do work like scrolls of invisibility. It's kind of insane that like you can just pop that up and just steal everything.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty great. I mean, you can just go into hiding, and if you're not inside of somebody's vision cone, you can just take anything you want. It's not like there's a morality system or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about rogue halfling just to fully fuck ones essentially.
Yeah, that I don't recall having a lot of bad luck, but then again, I was doing mostly spells. Karlach was in my party, and Barbarian can just reckless.
Yeah, yeah. She's definitely one of my bigger hitters because of that. Just her ability to get advantage pretty regularly.
And then you have was it Spirit Shroud or the one where you have the spirits floating around, not Spirit Shroud, with the Spirit Guardians with
yeah,
Shadowheart. And just having Shadowheart run into a massive enemies with Spirit Guardians up is fun.
I keep forgetting to use that. She's just
so
got like
good.
this level, and it looks good, and I know in real life D&D it works great, but
because it procs whenever an enemy enters that space for the first time, so she can move out of enemy spaces and then move into enemy spaces. And I think it's the first time on a turn, so it only procs once per turn, but still can do a ton of damage to an AoE and makes her into basically just a freaking Mario enemy where you touch her and you die.
she's the sun from Mario.
Yeah, basically. And then I had Will and dual wielding, so more chances to attack and not screw up.
That's fair. Yeah, I gave Shadowheart a mace that when she misses gives an enemy fairy fire. So that actually helped a lot because I wanted her to miss.
There's so much customizability with the magical items in that game.
I haven't figured out how to make potions. I keep collecting ingredients, but I don't know where to make stuff.
There's an alchemy tab.
Okay.
On your character sheet.
That makes a lot more sense.
If you're using controller, it's going to be on. You're playing with PS5. It's going to be on the wheel. There's going to be a symbol that looks like a potion.
Yeah, like the go to camp, long rest, inventory, character sheet, that kind of page.
Not even in camp, just wherever.
I mean on that dial wheel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you go there, and what you do is there's a button to just hit extract all to extract all your ingredients, and then you can just make a bunch of potions once you've extracted the ingredients.
Very handy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to make a bunch of potions and see if I can't just drink my way to success.
Potions of speed, super, super good because, hey, +2 to AC, and you get an extra action that you can use to attack. So if you miss, you got another chance to not miss.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll fiddle around with some stuff. I'm enjoying the story of the game when I can fight through things and, succeed. My only issue is, a lot of conversations just end in a fight. Kind of no matter what you do. At least in the first area of the game, which is where I'm at. I got through pretty much did everything in the first area and then went into the Underdark, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, there are depending on, so there are certain dialogue options that open up depending on what your character's background is, what your character's race is, what your character's job is, and those are pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been playing a high charisma character. I've been able to basically schmooze my way into pretty much every enemy stronghold with some exceptions, and that's been pretty fun.
Well, damn. All right, that's cool.
It also depends on like certain dialogue options will open up depending on what items you have or what piece of information you already have. Like the tree of like interactions is so massive and complex in that game. There's just so much replayability to it.
It is really fun. I have noticed that. Yeah, I think there's a surprising amount of things you can get for just being a warlock.
Mm-hmm. And
you get spellcaster stuff, you get charisma stuff, you get anything with patrons, you pretty much automatically know it.
Yeah. And similarly, funny dialogue options open up if you're playing a barbarian.
I hadn't even thought about that.
I'm just gonna break it.
Honestly, that might be what I play. This is my second one, just thinking reckless.
Yeah, and it's so you may have noticed, by the way, that whenever you're talking to a character in that game, there is an always on screen attack button.
I was not aware of that. I think I've noticed it before, but I thought it was just because the enemy was like an enemy that I was talking with.
So if you know the game pretty well, you can attack early and start combat in the middle of cutscenes, interrupting your dungeon master, so to speak, to be like, I attack them. And that can actually result in certain characters living that would have otherwise died in the cutscene.
Oh. Okay, I should do that more often. Not only just to save people in conversations, but also, like, the problem with shooting outside of combat is half my party isn't in combat.
You can switch over to them and run into combat with them.
Yeah, that's basically what I have to do. I both love and hate the fact that if you initiate combat with an archer, half your party doesn't get sucked into combat.
I think they were working on that or something. They did drop the recent like new patch. I haven't played it since then.
Yeah, it's been a couple days since I played. I played for like an hour this morning, and I was stuck in this arcane tower, and I can't figure out what the fuck to do. So got a little bored.
Oh, I know that place. I know that place. That's you have to go all the way down to the basement of the tower if it's the one in the Underdark.
Yeah, it's that one. I was gonna. I have essentially a pocket wizard because I don't have him in my party, but I have him back in my camp. So I was gonna swap someone out real quick.
Yeah, you got to go down to the basement there, and there's like an engine thing that you have to provide fuel for.
Oh, that makes so much more sense. Okay, I thought I just had like to cast the right spell on something.
Yeah,
I was trying to light the braziers with spells.
You got to get the materials to which the materials are nearby to just put into the engine, and that makes the magic engine, so to speak, and that makes the elevator work.
Oh, that makes more sense now. Fair enough. So yeah, that's been my experience this week. It's been kind of slow. Oh, and I put my 2 weeks in at work because I fucking hate it. So I'm gonna work somewhere else.
Got something lined up?
Nope.
Oh.
I just fucking hate my job, and I got essentially ambushed and written up for attendance because I was 5 minutes late a couple days. So that's fun. Yeah. One of the newer managers flagged me down and was like, "Hey, let's talk this out tomorrow." So I'm gonna demand a raise, and if they don't give it to me, I'm just gonna leave.
Sounds fair.
Yeah. So that's me.
All right.
Fair enough. Yeah. So that's an episode. This is a good lengthy episode. We all had things to talk about. Yay. So I said talked about shitting on everyone's favorite game. How dare he?
I accidentally unplugged my mic, so when I plugged it back in, it wasn't doing anything. So I had to leave and come back.
Casey talked about how his hands are shit and he sucks at his job.
Rough times.
Also Mega Man.
Yeah.
And Zero talked about shit kids. So, you know.
And Sonic.
Also
and
that,
Sonic.
but mostly the shit kids.
I want more Sonic games. And I want more Mega Man games.
I'm not in a rush for another big Sonic game.
Yeah.
Frontiers was very satisfying. I could wait another couple of years for another, so long as it's another one of that kind of quality, or better, ideally. Always aim higher. I would be fine waiting a couple of years for that.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I think that considering this was the first like major 3D Sonic game in a while that had this amount of freedom in it, they took a lot of risks and tried out a lot of different ideas, and I want to see what they build off of this. You know, so take your time. It's fine. Just let me play as the other characters because they're so fun. Fix Knuckles. Please fix Knuckles.
Yeah. So yeah. How does the outro go? Patreon link in the description. Discord link in the description. If I fucked that up, I did it backwards. Fuck it.
Links are in the description. Thank you
Yeah.
for listening.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
See you guys.